into the webinar is, can everybody hear us clearly, as well as can everybody see me clearly? Just give me 1 second. Okay, sorry. Just want to make sure that everybody can see clearly and can hear me clearly, and just mention it on the chat there. And the next thing I want to mention as well is if we can hold off on the questions until we reach to the part of the 8 minutes of the Lash Perm solution, when we have that break time, you guys can ask questions, and as well in the 5 minutes after we put the neutralizer, and then at the end we can ask the questions. At the beginning we want to get into the flow, and then we can, when the solution's on, we can ask the questions. Okay, so is everybody good? Good to go, everybody? Natasha, you have good, everybody saying okay? Yeah. They can hear and see clearly?
If at some point, no, they just need to reload their screen.
If at some point you don't see it and you miss connection, just reload your page again so that you can get back into it, okay? So I want to start so that we have a good time to show you the protocols slowly and properly, so that you can see the steps that I do, some tips and tricks that I can suggest as well. So today our webinar will be on is the lash lift. Okay, so we have our lash lift kit here with the faster times of 8 and 5 minutes. 8 minutes our lash perm solution, and 5 minutes our neutralizer. And it is a 36 application. I'll show you quickly for anybody who hasn't used it yet. I'll just show you quickly what the kit looks like. So you have your 36 applications. So you have your 2 sets of your solutions, your step number 1, step number 2, your glue, your brushes that are numbered as well, 1 and 2, your bowls that are numbered 1 and 2, so you don't intermix your solutions, and as well your little slots right here for your small, medium, and large for your silicone pads. Okay, so the silicone pads are reusable as long as in your area what the protocols are for proper infection control. So if you have to clean and disinfect them, just use what your local disinfectant is in your city or province. Okay, so we're gonna start off with our model. She's already in the bed, and we're gonna start off with the protocols. So just before we change the camera to the model, I want to mention that before I start, we have to do the prep work. Okay, so when your client comes into the salon and they come either with makeup or without, it's suggested get them to come in without makeup. But even though they come without makeup, it's advisable that you do clean with non-oily eye makeup remover, our RefectoCil non-oily eye makeup remover, and then as well the saline solution, which I gotta grab. So even if they don't have any makeup, please do this. Environmental factors, oils, sweat, came from the gym, or anything can be a factor that can play into interfering with the results. So as long as your prep is done as well properly, you should be able to get proper results. Okay, so we're going to transition the camera to the model, and in the meantime, I'm going to get a saline solution. Natasha, okay. Okay. Perfect. So we have our model here, Shannon. So hopefully everybody can see properly, clearly. You can see the eyes. Awesome. It looks really nice and clear. The ring light helps to see it clear as well. And you'll be able to see the steps and a bird's eye view of everything that I'm going to do. So as I mentioned before, we have our model here, Shannon, who doesn't have any makeup on, but we still want to do the prep work. It's very, very crucial. So I will start with my, is that too close? Oh, it's gonna be hard. Our eye makeup remover. Okay. We're gonna start, oops, sorry. We're going to start with this and wipe it off. And in our steps here, you should be able to do in 35 minutes roughly, you should be able to do upsell and do a nice complete package of a lash and brow styling. So you should be able to do their lash lift during the 8 minutes, tint their brows, and then afterwards tint their lashes, and you've completed 3 services in about 35 minutes, okay? So that's what we're gonna aim to show today. So I will wipe down her lashes with my non-oily eye makeup remover. Also our eye makeup remover, the RefectoCil, it's non-oily. It's a micellar, so it can remove any makeup that's waterproof as well. So it works as a magnet. And also the benefit of being lash strengthening. So they added a bunch of amino acids to be able to help to strengthen the lashes. So even when you're doing bleaching the brows, our eye makeup remover is awesome to use after to remove that bleach from the brows because it will strengthen the hair. Okay, so it's got 3 properties in one. So it's an amazing product to use in your salon. Okay, so we've got the brows as well, as we'll show the tinting of the brows. And now we're going to do the saline solution. Okay, so this is our saline solution. It might be difficult to show, but I will show it. That's our saline solution. Okay. And once again, we do the same clean sweep of the lashes and the brows. As long as they want the brows as well as an upsell or as you give them a package for their service. So you're going to wipe both sections, lashes and the brows. Okay. The saline solution will prep, will degrease, will remove anything that's left behind, even from the eye makeup remover, okay? And it will allow for your glues and your lashes to work well together, okay, and adhere properly. And you can do it as well when you're tinting, even the brows. It will give them a nice crisper look, crisper color, even if you use a saline solution. Okay, so now that we've done this whole prep, so now that we finished this, before I start with applying any of the silicone pads, I want to be able to, excuse me, to apply the, sorry, before I start applying the silicone pads, I want to apply the black silicone pads, these ones right here. Let's see if you can see that. Perfect. Yep. Because we want to isolate the bottom lashes so that we do not attach them to the top part of the silicone pad and end up shaping those two where they stick out into the eye and can be in the vision, affect the vision, okay? So I'm going to tack it on top of the bottom lashes like that. Perfect product to use either for the lift, perfect to use either for the lift, the curl, and as well for tinting. They are reusable after a certain amount of time until the disinfectant will not make it stick anymore, but it sticks directly onto the skin, okay? And we will do the other eye as well. Just place it on top of the bottom lashes. And then we'll get our model to, oh, 1 second. Okay, now you can close your eyes. Okay. Perfect. Now, once again, my other step would be before I start to apply the silicone pads, before I glue them on, I want to brush out the lashes. Okay, just give them a nice good brush so that they are not clumped together, so that they come out nice. Like if the lashes are clumped together and you roll them up clumped together, they will shape clumped together and it will not look aesthetically pleasing and it won't give the results that you want to see. So we just brush it out, make sure they're nice and separated. Perfect. Let me just do in here. Okay, so now that they're all brushed out, we can grab our silicone pads. Now, by looking at my model here, I can see that I would like to use a size small. The bigger your pads go, first thing is that the looser the lift would look. If they want a more dramatic, tighter look, they need to use the size small. But I will show you the pad and show you how you can decide if it is the right pad for your model. So I'll pick up the small here, and I'm going to try and put it in the camera. Perfect. There's a bump. You can see this bump right here. As long as the lashes cover this bump almost completely, if it can, then you've chosen the right silicone pad size. If they start to go halfway underneath here, your lift will be very weak, okay? And if they start to roll up past the bump onto this free edge, if you can see this nice little thin edge with a little heart, this is the free edge. Nothing goes on it. No glue, no hair, no nothing. As soon as hair starts to roll up to that section, you know that the pad size is too small. And what's going to happen is that you're going to have a very blunt lift where that will not even look aesthetically pretty. And the client will have a hard time to put mascara on, okay? So make sure the lashes cover this bump. And I can see with Shannon, the size small is perfect, okay? So right now I'm gonna do is I'm gonna grab my glue, my RefectoCil Lash Lift glue. I'm gonna take my pad, and on the back side of the bump, right on this flat edge on the back side is where I'm going to apply the glue. So let me just open this. And I'm going to give it strokes back and forth, as well as getting the edge so it doesn't lift. If it starts to lift when it's on your client's eyelid, you're going to lose lashes on the back of it when you're wanting to roll or during the procedure, and that's going to be ineffective because then your lashes all won't be lifted, okay? So I place the glue on there. Now what I'm going to do is going to wait 10 to 15 seconds. About 10 seconds for the amount of glue that I put is ideal. I see I'm going to apply a little bit more on this side. Okay, let it dry 10 to 15 seconds. And now you can slightly lift up the lid slightly. You don't want to elevate it too high up so that we can get it to sit. I'm just going to get a stick. As close as you can to her lid, okay? And you're going to let it sit there and dry, okay? And now we're going to place the second. So it's very crucial you allow it to dry before you apply it onto the eyelid. If it's still wet and it hasn't gotten tacky, the pads will pop off, okay? So I'm going to prep the other one as well with the glue. Wait 10 to 15 seconds, depending on how much glue you've put on. I'm just going to secure it down instead of putting my fingers up there so that it's not, if your fingers, even though we washed our hands, they tend to get oily. So I don't want to interfere this part here with any residue. So once I've placed those on there and my outer and inner corners are secure, now is where you're going to apply the glue onto the top part of the silicone pad, the bump area only. So I will apply right here on this bump the glue, okay? And once again, you're going to wait 10 to 15 seconds depending on how much glue you've used. For me, I find that the 10 seconds is good enough for me, okay? Now, as I'm rolling up, I want to make sure that I pull the lashes very nice and tight. So I want that water line to flip over as well. Now, if you continue rolling, 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 and you see these white parts starting to form, stop, grab your glue again, and just wet it if you still need to work your lashes. If you start to work it, continue working at it, and it's getting dry like that, it's going to completely lift up all your lashes again. Okay, so stop when you start seeing that film. And also when they're wet, it helps to put them straighter as well. Okay. Okay, so it's nice and taut. Okay, so we're going to do that same thing on the other side. Going to apply the glue on the bump part. Let it dry. And then we're going to start rolling as soon as it starts drying. And then after we've rolled these lashes, this is where I'm going to tell you a little bit of a tip or trick. So always ask your client, is the pressure okay when you're rolling? Because you are putting a little bit more pressure to make sure you lift that water line up. So Shannon, the pressure's okay?
That's fine.
Okay. Okay. Just in case. Doesn't really irritate them, but you should still ask your client. So once again, it's getting a little bit drier. So if I feel like I haven't lifted all the lashes, I can go back, get it a little bit wet, so I can continue working it down, okay? Because as I saw it getting drier, I'm going to lift the lashes up again, and I don't want to do that, okay? So this part, you should be taking your time to do it so that they go evenly and straight. Now, because our glue is it dissolves pretty quickly, your removal time will be 10 seconds, really quick. You want to be able, what would happen sometimes is that the lashes will start to pop off of the silicone pad, because when you put the lash perm solution, it's breaking down the glue on the back side of the lashes, and then your lashes tend to pop off. Now, if that happened, don't worry, as long as you saturated the lashes properly and enough with the solution, and then after the 8 minutes, you remove it with a dry Q-tip to remove all the solution. Then you glue them back down again before you proceed with the neutralizer. If you don't glue them back down and you put the neutralizer is forming now the lashes. The lash perm was breaking down the bonds and the keratin of the lashes so that they become workable. Now with the neutralizer, you're forming the shape according to the silicone pad. So if you don't put them back down onto the pad, what happens is that they're sticking up in the air and they will form to air, which there's no shape for them to take. So they'll end up falling back down to their natural looking state as they were before. So people will say they didn't see any lift happening. So make sure that you do that. But now what you should do to avoid that problem is take your glue. Now, none of our solutions goes on the tip. So when you're putting the lash perm in the neutralizer, they never go on the tip. So what I would do is I would take my glue and just dab it onto the tip, let it get tacky so that those hairs stay down. Okay, same thing with here. Okay, so because we don't put any solution, you're going to be secure that those lashes are going to stay down. Now I take the glue again and I go a little bit of a step ahead, and I like to put in the center here too, because if there's new growth, you want them to form as well to the new shape, because they won't reach to the end. So if you don't secure them there, they're going to fall down as well. So I just put in the center there some glue, let it get tacky, and I don't go too crazy with the glue too, okay, so that it becomes too thick when it dries out. And then I can do the same thing on this side as well, just on the center. So during that 8 minutes, when the solution is like the Lash Perm solution is on there and it's breaking down the glue, it's breaking down the glue on the top part. It won't reach to the back side and release all the lashes. So that's a tip and trick that will help you to work with the glue. Now I just see on this side some of her lashes are a little bit sticking up, so I will secure that down. And then if you've touched them again, then it's good to go back with the glue and just secure it. Okay, just dab a little bit of glue. Okay, so now you know that they're secured onto there. Now what we're going to do, as it's getting tacky, we're going to prepare our Lash Perm solution. So pea size amount. So the Lash Perm solution stays on for 8 minutes to be able to break down the bonds and the keratin of the hair. And the piece size will vary to the type of lashes you have. You need to make sure that you saturate the lashes generously. If you put so very little, because our solution works faster now, you need it to be able to penetrate into the hairs and the layers of the hairs if they have layers. So you need to be generous with the solution. Otherwise, once again, you will not see any results. So I'm going to put my piece size amount. So I put my piece size amount. Okay. Now, if you feel that you might have to replenish it some more again afterwards because your piece, you didn't eyeball it and properly enough, that's fine. But once again, piece sizes vary to the different types of length or thickness of the lashes. Okay. I'm going to give it a little mixture, just a little bit like that, so I can spread it up. Okay. Excuse me. And then I'm going to grab a little bit of a little ball. I like to make it a little ball so I can get it exactly where I want it. And we're not doing the tips, but how you like to start, it's up to you. You can start from the center to apply it. Once again, being generous. And then you're going to work close to your water line. So that's why when you pull the lashes nice and taut, you don't have to lift the eyelid too much. You have more control. And then that way you don't get the solution into the eye. Okay, so I'm being really generous. I'm going to do the other side as well. So I like to work from the center down to the water line, because then I can push the product too. If I have excess amount somewhere, I can push it down towards the water line. Now, if the solution did get into the eye, maybe you didn't pull it so taut, the lashes, so you had to lift the eye up like this to get close to the water line, it's going to be hard to remove everything really quickly. So what I do is I take a dry Q-tip and I stick it to the section where they feel that they feel the stinging. I stick the dry Q-tip there, and then I hold it there so that the solution can go into the Q-tip. And all the time I've done this, the customer has felt relief. Okay, if they don't and they really want it off, you just got to work quickly at removing the solution and then doing an eye rinse. Okay, to give them that relief. So as I'm applying solution, finishing on this side. I might want to see if I miss anywhere else. So what I'll do now is I'm going to start my timer of 8 minutes. So let me start my timer at 8 minutes, and then I'm going to answer questions at the same time as tinting her brows. So I'm just going to quickly just see if I have to fill it any other spot. Just give me 1 second. I like to look from the side of my client just to see, is there somewhere where it's less saturated? Okay. So if you have any questions now, as I'm going to prep the dye, the tint for the brows, you can let me know, and I will answer.
Does the room temperature or humidity matter?
So does the room temperature of the humidity matter? You don't want the room to be too humid. You don't want the room to be too dry. I also find you don't want to have like strong AC blasting on, because that can also interfere with the glue, as it can dry out quicker before you're able to maneuver it into place, the lashes, as well as solution. You don't want to dry it quicker if it hasn't been able to penetrate into the eyelashes, into the hairs. So don't have a good, cool, dry room. Okay.
Is it okay to work in section by section and apply the glue or rolling so the glue can be put on lashes directly?
So the other question is it okay if we can apply the glue and rolling of the lashes in sections and sections? Of course you can. You can even break it down into 3 sections. You can start on your outer first, put some glue, roll the lashes, then your inner, put some glue, roll the lashes, and your middle, and then your inner. So yes, you can break it down to how many sections you'd like. If you feel at the beginning you want to be able to work those lashes properly and get them nice and straight, work it in sections. Yes.
Is it not cross-contamination to use the glue applicator on lashes and then put it back on your container?
So when you're working with your clients, so the question is it cross-contamination when you're working with your customers with the glue? Yes. So you should have, this glue is specifically used on Shannon, but when you have your other customers in the salon, you should be able to have disposable application sticks. And I'll show you what I use. I use these lip brushes as my disposable application for the glue, so I'm not double dipping. So you're going to go through these a lot, right? Especially if you have to reapply glue, you're going to take the lid off and use this to take out more glue, but then you toss it and use another one when you're going to go to the other eye. So you're treating it like waxing, no double dipping. So yes, you are correct. It will become cross-contamination if you start using this brushes in here on all your clients' eyes.
Was the Perm solution mixed with oxidant?
Was the Perm solution mixed with oxidant? Nope, it doesn't need the oxidant. The tint is the one that needs the peroxide to activate the color. This is the Lash Perm that's going to break down the bonds and the keratins in the hair. So no Perm solution is mixed. It's directly the tube that you see here that says step number 1, Perm solution, is what you're going to use directly with nothing else to mix it.
Do you have any tips for very straight lashes?
So for very straight lashes, do I have any tips for very straight lashes?
And short stubborn lashes.
And short stubborn lashes. So let me do first the question of this very straight lashes. Yes, it works properly, but if they're very stubborn and straight, you want to be able to kind of maybe use a mechanical curler at the beginning, or like just to curl them first. And then start rolling them up onto the silicone pads. That's what people have told me they've used that method, especially if they're jet straight and you're trying to roll them on to stick the glue and they keep on popping off. Maybe you can mechanically curl them first, and then they can rest nicely onto the pad when you're gluing it. Otherwise, I've had that stubborn lashes and I just work the glue much more to hold it down. I've learned how to work with the glue instead of mechanically using a curler. Now the short stubborn lashes, if they're too short for the pad, the size small, then you have to change it up and take them to the lash curl, where the small rollers the cotton rollers will be much more effective in getting them some kind of shape to their lashes. Otherwise, you're going to have a difficult time to pull short lashes nice and tight. As you can see, Shannon's lashes all cover that bump on the silicone pad. If they're extremely short, they won't even reach halfway, which on the other hand, you're going to do a service with no results. So I always take my customers that have really short lashes where the size small is not for them and take them to the curl.
How long does it sit for?
8 minutes is the first solution, how long it sits for. So now in this process of the 8 minutes, yes, because I'm talking, the time has run, but I'm mixing her brow. And what I did is I mixed the natural brown with graphite because she's going a little bit cooler in her hair. And I'm going to put my 15 drops of my cream to my 2 centimeters of my dye. So I'm using cream.
Can you get the cotton rods separately?
Can you purchase a cotton rod separately? Yes. Everything in the kits comes in open stock, so you don't necessarily have to buy a kit. The kit at the beginning is useful when you're new at the service and you want everything available to start the service. Then after, you start to replenish the items that you run out. So yes, all our curl and lift, they come in open stock.
Is there a different way to apply the silicone pad for a hooded eye?
For a hooded, if there's a different method to apply on a hooded eye, the silicone pads, you have to work with that skin a little bit better. So I find that I have to hold that lid up a little bit higher. But what other people do is that they use their lash extension tapes to hold the lid up, and then you don't have to worry. You can place your pad nice and properly without having to worry about a hooded lid. So yes, go ahead and use your tapes that you use for your lash extensions to hold this part of the skin up.
Will you do a brow tinting tutorial?
Will we do a brow tinting tutorial? Yeah, that can be a suggestion that we can do and upload them on as a webinar. We can do that for sure. Don't know when, but when we book a date, always check your RefectoCil education.com website. Yes, we have videos up there on tinting, but if you ever wanted, if it ever was the interest of actually doing a webinar on brow tinting, for sure, we can arrange that. I do have a webinar up there already. That was a while ago done. So by all means, go to RefectoCileEducation.com and watch those webinars. Yeah, that.
Does the kit come with clear instructions?
Does the kit come with clear instructions? Yes, the kit comes with clear instructions on how to do your eyelash lift or eyelash curl. Just the only thing they'll have to put in the new booklets is just to apply that glue on the top, like how I did. You have to remember that. And in my webinars and videos, you can see that. So the booklets have clear direction. Just the tip of putting the glue on top of the lashes to hold them down is not in the booklet yet.
Everybody wants a bleach brown and tinting.
Everybody wants a bleach brown and tinting. So we see that somebody wants a tutorial on the bleach brown and tinting, which we already have one up. Oh, it's outdated. Well, we can do one. We can do a new one for sure. Sorry, we have planned a curl webinar before that, but we can for sure try and plan something else and do another webinar maybe in November as well on the bleaching and tinting afterwards of the brows, if that's an interest for sure.
If the pads are too long width-wise, will that affect the process of or trauma of the curl?
If the pads are too, say it again.
Long width-wise.
Width-wise, if they're too long, we haven't had that issue. So if these silicone pads are too long, width-wise, is it going to create an issue? No, because it's stuck down onto the top of the lid. So I've never had an issue, even if the lid area was small. I never had that issue. So the time for her lash perm solution is coming up. It's up now, the 8 minutes. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to clean up this area here. Okay. clean up this area. So she didn't want her brows too dark, so that's why I'm just putting very little, just for the sake of showing it that you can do a brow tinting during that 8 minutes. Okay, so upsell, upsell. Okay, so now we're going to remove the solution. Make sure that you remove the solution properly, that it's all gone from there, because you don't want it to be still wet when you're going to apply the neutralizer. So, and I find doing it in upward motions is better, because now, because the hair is it's more loose, it's going to rest on the pad. Now, yes, with Shannon, she has nice thick lashes, so some of them have popped off, and I will just reglue them back down again. So perfect for the webinar to show you.
Are the silicone pads disposable or reusable?
The silicone pads, disposable or reusable? They are reusable up to a certain amount of time. If you do start to tint on top of them, they do start to get very mucky looking. So if your customer catches an eye of the silicone pads looking very dirty, they might not like that, even though you've disinfected and cleaned them. So I don't like tinting on top of them, but for sure you can, and yes, they are. You can clean and disinfect them and reuse them.
Can the skin be used for brow lamination?
Can the source again?
Can the skin be used for brow lamination?
So is brow lamination when you want to relax the brows, brush them upwards so that they look fuller? Is that what brow lamination is? So whoever asked the question about brow lamination, just let me know. Is it the part to relax the brows so that you can brush them upwards and then set them so that they look fuller and the hairs are sticking up right up onto their brow? If that's if you can answer yes, if I'm correct, perfect. Yes, you can. I had somebody in one of my classes say they have used it, and what they do is that they clean the brow area properly, then they saturate it with the Lash Perm solution. They say put something on top, like a pad or something like that, so the solution stays in there, but not on the first step, just the second step. So you're going to put the Lash Perm solution on the brows so that it can break down the bonds and the keratin so the hair becomes more workable. Then you're going to take your neutralizer, you're going to brush the hairs up where you want them to be positioned, and then you're going to put the neutralizer on. And then you're going to put something on top, like a pad or something, to hold it down so those hairs stay in place up, and the neutralizer is sticking them to that form. So yes, I haven't tried it myself, which I would love to try it, but for sure it will work with the Lash Perm solution and the neutralizer. So now I removed the solutions. I'm going to take my bowl number 2, and I'm going to take my neutralizer. So I made sure that I removed all the solution. I can always do another double check. I can always just make sure that all the solution is gone. Now, the lashes that have lifted, yes, let's go back and glue them down. So when you learn to work with the glue, this step is very, very easy. So I'm just going to go get the glue back on. So it can get them a little bit wet, let them get tacky before I roll them down. This is crucial to have them back down again. If you miss this step, then your whole curl lift won't work. Sorry if I shake the camera, that's my fault. Okay. You'll also have it tricky when the lashes are thick as well. And you want to make sure that the solution is off, because if you put glue and the solution's still on there, you're going to be fighting with it. It's going to be a slippery mess. Okay. Okay, just going to secure these back down. Once again, I'm doing a nice tight. Okay, now we're going to grab our neutralizer, our step number 2. You're going to squeeze your pea size amount just like you squeeze the same amount earlier. Okay, but before I apply it, I'm just going to remove her brows because as she had mentioned to me, she didn't really want them to be dark, so I'm going to remove them. So you can work these steps to your speed. So if you felt like you still were working on the brows, don't go and put the solution yet until you finish the brows, just in case you forget they're on there and they've become too dark for your customer. So take a pause for your step number 2 of your neutralizer, go back to your brows, clean up the brows, and then go back to your step number 2. Okay. Perfect. So now we can do the neutralizer. So I got my bowl number 2, my brush number 2, so I'm not intermixing. And I'm going to take the same method, that nice little bowl, and apply it and get very close to the lash line as well. Now, if you applied the lash perm and the first step and didn't get it very close to the lash line, and then you apply the neutralizer close to the lash line, nothing will happen. So make sure you apply the solution in the same area that you applied your lash perm. Your neutralizer, the same area you applied your lash perm. Okay, and once again, being generous with it. And this time it would be 5 minutes that it stays on. Okay, so I'm just going to make sure I saturate it enough. Okay, then we're going to start the 5 minutes. And now we can ask any other questions that you might have.
How long does it take from the start to end?
So how long does it take from the start and the end? So if you're doing this in the salon, between you and your customer, you're not having to answer any questions, it should take you roughly 35 minutes, anything under 40 minutes. So you should be able to complete all 3, a lash lift or a curl, a brow tint, and a lash tint. The lash tint only takes 2 minutes. So in general, when we tint the lashes, we leave it on for 10 minutes, maximum 15 if they want it more in depth, right? If they want it more darker. Otherwise, when it's after a lift or a curl, it's only going to be on for 2 minutes because we've already opened up the follicle. We've already done work onto the hair, so it's going to take in the color quickly.
How many treatments on a kit?
So how many treatments out of a kit? It's a 36 application. Yes, the 36 can vary. Now we have a lot of people who are using growth serums. So their lashes are getting really long and also are getting really layered because of the growth serums. So in that case, it might not last 36 applications because your piece size will get larger. But out of two clients, you buy a kit, out of 2 customers that you do a lift, you've made back your money on your lift kit.
How much do you charge for a lift?
So how much do you charge for a lift? It's between 65 to 85 you can charge for a lift on its own, and depending on your demographics. Otherwise, when you start going higher, you can include your tinting of your brows and your lashes. Some people can do a package of $150 that includes all 3. But from 65 to 85 would be a lash lift or lash curl.
What if you go over 5 minutes?
What if you go over 5 minutes? It's not crucial. It's okay. Just try to keep it 8 to 5 minutes. But if you did a lash lift and it didn't work in your same seating, you can do it again and correct whatever you did wrong. And then do it again, but you have to cut down the times in half. So instead of doing 8 minutes, you're going to do 4. And instead of doing 5 minutes, you're going to do 2.5. So if you left in the original timing, you left them a little bit longer, it's okay, but you still got to make sure that it's not on thin lashes. If it's on very thin lashes, you don't want to exceed the time because that 8 and 5 minutes is enough time for thin lashes to take form. So just be careful.
How long after can they wet their lashes?
How long after can they wet their lashes? Right away, because we are using water to remove anyways the solutions. We're going to use water afterwards to remove the tint. So water doesn't affect it. If they're going to wear mascara, they have to wait 2 to 3 hours afterwards. And then if they want to put any oils on, or if they're going to use like an oily eye makeup remover, they have to wait 24 hours.
Multiple application of the glue would result in lashes not sticking as the glue is water soluble. Is that true?
Sorry, say that again.
I was under the impression that multiple applications of glue would result in the lashes not sticking as the glue is water soluble. So
the question is, multiple application of the glue in their thinking meant that the lashes won't stick because the glue is water soluble. Meaning, if you're applying glue on top and on several times, it's sticking to glue. So as soon as you put water, that's what's going to break down the glue instantly, and even the lash perm solution breaks down. But if you're putting glue on top of glue, you're fine. That will not break down the glue.
After you glue the lashes for the first step, how long do you wait before starting the perm solution?
So the question was, after you glue the lashes, how long do you wait for to apply the lash perm solution? It only takes 10 to 15 seconds for the glue to get tacky, depending on how much thickness you're going. So that 10 to 15 seconds will pass really fast as soon as you start squeezing out your solution to your bowl. So almost instantly after, you can start applying the solution. If you applied way too much thick glue on top, maybe let it dry the full 15 minutes and then apply the solution. 15 seconds, sorry, 15 seconds, not 15 minutes.
Will the glue clump up the more you apply?
Will the glue clump up the more you apply? Not if you keep it wet. If you let it dry, if you work it, and it gets dry, then it clumps up. And it gets all these little white little films, like these little hairs. So wet it. Once you start seeing, if you still have to work the lashes and you find that it's getting dry, just wet it again with the glue, and then it becomes workable.
For the brow elimination, will the tint last longer in the brow?
If they illuminate it? Will the tint last longer if they illuminate it on the brow? Not necessarily, because it also depends on how the customer uses their home method of wiping or cleaning their face, or what is their regimen at home, right? So it should last up to 6 weeks, the tint. But if they're having trouble with the tint lasting, We have a product called, which I don't have it right now. We have a product called Styling Gel, which will seal in. So after every service, you should be applying the styling gel on the brows and on the lashes, and that will seal in the treatment. And you can sell that to your customer to take it home and use it every day to seal it in. So if it's for a customer that it doesn't last long, the tints, this product would be perfect for them. So the 5 minutes is up. Just gonna. Now, if during the procedure you could always remove these if afterwards you felt like they were in your way, just like that, so that you can see better. It's up to you. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to remove.
How long will the lash lift last?
So the lash lifts last. How long will the lash lift last? It lasts up to 6 weeks as well. There are some people that it has lasted even longer than 6 weeks, but your hair grows out. And if it's going to go back, the hair that's growing out to its shape that it was before, it would look wonky. It would look uneven. So you'd have to come back in before that 8 weeks. Say it lasted for 8 weeks, you might want to come back in 6 weeks to get it done because it won't look nice, even. So I'm going to remove the solution. Once again, just making sure I remove all of it before I apply the tint. Now, did people want to see the tinting on the silicone pads or the original way? How to tint? How I would want to tint. If people want me to tint it on the silicone pad so they can see, I can by all means do that, or I can do the way that I prefer. So you can make a comment, and I can see. So the
one eye. One eye.
Oh, so now people are asking. Okay, the only reason if we do it half and half is that the reason why, I'll tell you the 3 reasons why I like to remove the pads and not tint on top of the pads. First reason is the pads get very dirty. Second reason is I can't get the bottom lashes. So if I do one eye and one eye differently, we're not going to be able to get the bottom lashes. One side will be tinted the bottom lashes, the other side wouldn't. Also, if the customer has very blonde lashes, very close to the root, I might not be able to get it. So as opposed to if they were removed from the pad, the lashes laid flat onto the bottom here and I filled the tint, I can get it right to the root and tint that so I don't see blonde and then dark. So if I were to tint onto the pad, I would do it both eyes. So I'll do my way, okay? So I'll show you what I would do. So I'm going to remove this pad as well. I'm going to take my cotton pad with water now that I removed the solution. So you'll start seeing the lashes pop off as soon as I start to apply water. And then what I do as well is with my wet cotton pad, what I like to do is I just hold, sorry, I hold the pad and I just really quick like that. And then I have the wet cotton pad to remove any glue residue. I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. So see how quickly the lashes come off of the pad with the water. So your removal time is pretty easy with the lift. And now you know what we say with the glue, with the solution.
And the black silicone pads and lifting clear pads is for like with CS20.
So for those who are in Canada, we have a product, disinfectant product called Perm. So the question is, can the CS20 be used on the silicone pads to disinfect the silicone pads, these ones right here, or the black ones, or these ones? No, you wouldn't want to use the CS20. The CS20 is a chemosterilant, so it's supposed to sterilize. These pads don't need sterilization. They need just an intermediate level disinfectant. When you start to high level disinfect and sterilize, it's when you're using pedicure tools, manicure tools. That's when it's a must to use CS20. But with these ones, you can use your RTU or you can use your alcohol, your isopropyl alcohol. Yeah, so don't use CS20. First thing is that they're going to disintegrate in the CS20. It's a stronger chemical for sterilizing. Okay.
How long does the permanent neutralizing solution last? The Silicone.
So the Lash Perm and the Neutralizer, after you open them, they expire. So once they've been opened, they expire in 2 months. The glue, 3 months. Now, if the ones that are closed, if you look on the back side up here, it's going to be really hard to see the camera, but I see it says here 0221, which means February 2021. This will expire if it hasn't opened. Otherwise, if you've opened it, 2 months. And what I suggest is mark on it with a Sharpie the date you opened it, because the last thing you want to do is 2 months can creep up really pretty quickly. The last thing you want to do is have a client and do the whole service for them and it didn't work out because your solution expired. So that will be your reminder. Okay, and the glue is 3 months. Okay, so now what I'm going to ask, before she opens up her eyes, I'm going to prepare my protection papers. I love using the protection papers. I could use the black silicone pads again and put them underneath the bottom lashes, or I could use my protection papers because I want to put the protection cream and give her a nice eye mask treatment. Okay, so with our protection cream, oops, sorry, Shannon. With our protection cream, it's kind of hard to see, but that's our protection cream. Shows a little bit blurry, but it's going to give them an eye mask treatment at the same time as protecting from staining and then holding the pad into place as well. So I'm going to prep that. What I do is I put it on the back side. So if you look at the pads here, it's going to be hard to tell unless you touch it, but there is a rough side and a soft glossy side. The rough side is where I'm going to spread the protection cream so that it holds it in place, and the rough side will allow nothing to seep through. Okay. So let me get that prepped. And always try to tint and tell the customer to tint after a lift or a curl, because it will create that much more emphasis of the shape or the lift or the curl. If they had blonde lashes, it would look like they have mascara on. But even if they have dark lashes, you're giving more depth to that lift or that curl effect. So always tell them that to tint afterwards. It's the best. Okay, Shannon, can you open up your eyes? Do you feel anywhere stinging? No, you okay? Okay, let me just wipe the bottom lashes here.
Which side again of the palm?
The rough side of the pad is where the protection cream goes. The gloss side of the pad stays up. So at the same time, that 2 minutes, this is perfect to use these during the 10-minute service of an eyelash tint, because you're giving them an eye treatment. So you can tell them that you're getting an eye mask at the same time that they're laying there and getting tinted. So that ups your level, ups your quality, right? The quality of your service. Okay, we do the other one. And now you can close. Perfect. So now I put these pads underneath the bottom lashes. So now that when I tint, the tint can saturate down to the bottom lashes. So I'm going to grab my blue black, as it is the popular color to use on lashes. Blue black and black both give the same depth of darkness of black. The blue black, because it has that hue of blue, gives luster, as opposed to the black black just gives a more of a matte black. Okay. So when the lashes hit the light, they are shining. They have a nice gloss. So I'm going to take my 2 centimeters again of my tint, and I'm going to mix, because I'm using cream, 15 drops of cream. If you're using liquid, 10 drops of liquid to your 2 centimeters of tint. I'm going to mix that, prep it. And once again, just removing the silicone pads from the lift, you saw how quick it was. Adding these protection papers underneath, you saw how quick that is. So I know people like to tint on top of the pads because it's quicker, it's easier. But then on the other hand, you want to give your customer the best quality service so that they can come back to you. And majority do like when their bottom lashes are tinted, especially if they're blonde and longer. Once again, it will give the effect of having mascara on. Okay. So I'm just mixing it. I got my mixing right here. Okay. And I'm going to start to, now it's harder when they've been lifted. So you want to try and get it on the tips so they can hold it down. And then work close to the waterline. Where can you buy these pads? Your local distributor should carry them. They're called Protection Papers Extra. So depending on where you're located, the distributors do carry these. If you want to let us know afterwards where you're located, we can try and see what distributor closest to you is available. And online, if you're in the States as well, online you can purchase these from distributors. So I'm going to saturate it enough. Okay. She does have thick, like more coarser lashes. So that's why I like to put it on thick. So you can already tell the lashes are sticking up. So they give you a little bit of a hard time trying to tint them. But as long as you can saturate them. And then this will stay on 2 minutes, okay? If their lashes were a little bit more coarser and you felt like you wanted to leave another extra minute, that's fine. But once again, be careful because of double processing, okay? You don't want to, we already had done work on her lashes with the Lash Perm and Neutralizer from the lift. So you want to be careful you don't leave it longer. 2 minutes is enough. Okay, so I'm going to start my timer of 2 minutes. Are there any other questions during this 2 minutes? If we have any more questions? Underneath? It's a little bit blurry. Uh-oh. Sorry, just give us 1 second. No? Okay, we're going to try during this 2 minutes figure out a little bit to unblur. Yeah, better. Okay. So any questions? Is there any questions, Natasha?
There's something you were talking about, what an oil-based product again?
About an oil-based product?
What's that?
If they're going to, after a tint or a lift, they shouldn't use anything oil-based, for up to 24 hours because it will break down the service. So are you using oils on your lashes? Like we have an oil, castor oil. I wouldn't use that right away. You'd wait 24 hours afterwards to use it. But also your eye makeup remover, if they have a bunch of oils in it to remove waterproof mascara, you need to be careful with that as well. If you're using any mascara that has oil in it as well, you gotta be careful with that as well. So oils are 24. Anything that you're gonna put on your face that has oils is 24 hours. And then for mascara, it's 2 to 3 hours. So don't put mascara on right away after a lift because it will, once again, break down the service. Gosh, I think I missed that. I'm gonna tell I don't know what I have this all prepared. Just make sure. So we have another 30 seconds. Lash on if you have any. Was
Advantages tints versus henna.
advantage versus tint versus henna. Well, the advantage of tint is that it's going to last longer. The advantage of henna is for people who could be allergic to the excuse me, to the synthetic PPD in the tints. So if they're allergic to color box hair dyes, they will be allergic to the RefectoCil tint. So you want to take them to, say, our sensitive line that works just like a henna. So each has its own advantage, but when you're mixing it with the peroxide and you're opening up the hair follicle for the color to penetrate in, it lasts longer. Patch tests are very important. So when your client comes in, two things you need to do. Patch test and a consent form. You got to find out if your customer is taking any medications, okay? Any history, or have they done tinting before? Have they had any reactions? And then you do a patch test. So the patch is either in the inner forearm or behind the ear. You will put the solution of the Lash Perm, the Neutralizer, and then the glue as well, because some people can be allergic to the lift glue because you're putting it to so much skin, okay? So yes, patch tests, and patch tests are 48 hours, not the day of. So get your client to come in 48 hours before or 3 days before, whichever, do the consent form, sit down with them for 15, 20 minutes, do the consent form, do the patch test, see what they want, what look they're looking for. Do they want to lift? Do they want to curl? Tell them the difference. Do they want to tint as well? And then you fill it, sign the consent form, and you call them in 48 hours. After you put the patch test on, you wipe it off. They go home, you call them in 48 hours, and you'll see with them. Do they have any reaction? No reaction? Perfect. They come in for their actual appointment, okay? Because some people react in 1 hour. Some people react in 24 hours. So the max time is 48. For the, is it still? It's better? So I'm just rolling it off with a dry Q-tip before, so you can already see her lashes went dark in that 2 minutes. And now I'm going to flush the tint off. I don't suggest flushing because what happens is that if you have that much tint on there and you do a flush, the tint will get into the eye and it will sting. So I just do dry Q-tip and then I can introduce water with my cotton pad. And if afterwards they feel a little bit irritated, then you can do a wash. Don't do a wash with that much tint on the eye. They will feel stinging. Oh.
Do you have an outline for the consent form?
We do have an outline for the consent form. So at the end here, I can put my email and you can send me a request for the consent form and I can email it to you. So we do have an outline that you can use. So I'm just, which one, the camera? I didn't touch it. Oh, the stand. So I'm just gonna make sure now with water.
What's the difference between a lift and a curl?
So what's the difference between a lift and a curl? So I'm gonna show you after the curl, the rollers. One's a roller, and then the ones we use today are silicone pads. So the roller, because it's a circumference, which I'll show you afterwards, it rounds the lashes inwards, so it creates a C curl. With the lift, you're shooting them straight up so that they look nice and long, almost like an L shape. So it's preference wise. I find I have a lot of like male clientele as well that wants to get a curl because if their lashes shoot very straight and they're a little bit more mature looking, their eyes get lost. They look a little bit older. If you do a curl, a slight small curl, you can give them a refreshed eye look that doesn't look tired and they can look a little bit younger as well. So I find that men love the curl. I find also if you have really long lashes, I have long lashes. If I do the lift, it will be a little too excessive. So I like to do the curl. If the lashes are extremely short, that the silicone pad won't fit for it, then you do the curl. But at the end, it's preference wise on the shape the customer wants. So we're going to wipe off the tint, then we're going to put the styling gel, which is the last thing that you need to put on. For this part, you do want to take your time so your customer doesn't feel irritated. Oops, sorry, I did that. And I just want to get underneath too, anywhere that it might be hiding. See, there's still some tint. Anywhere that it could creep in the inner corner. So I'm just trying to get the tint off before she opens up her eyes. And if she did feel a little bit of a stinging sensation, what I do is I have a cool cotton pad ready with water, with cool water ready, so I can press it on top of her eyes if she just still feels irritating, and that cools it down for them. Okay. So let me just get Perm. Okay, so Shannon, slowly, if you can open up your eyes and let me know if you feel anywhere irritated. No?
No.
Oops. Okay, so how I would like to end now is put the styling gel. So now that I removed the pads, I can be a little bit more rougher to clean her skin. Perfect. And this is a styling gel that I was talking about. Okay, is it upside down? Okay, perfect. So it protects and cares. So the professional should be using this at the end of all their services. Disposable mascara one I'm going to use so we don't cross-contaminate. Excuse me. And you're going to apply it onto the lashes and the brows to hydrate and then protect and give care so that that service can last longer. So this is a retail item. You can sell it to them afterwards to take home and use it. If they're swimmers, they go to the gym a lot, you know, these can play in breaking down the services faster. So you can sell them this. So I'm going to apply it. Oh, you're tearing. Let me catch that too. I think it retails to about 30, if I'm correct, about 39.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, you okay?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, okay. And then I'm gonna, no, you're good. I'm gonna put it on the brows as well. Now, another way I use this product too, perfect for the brows. If you have thick, coarse brows and they become very unruly and they start to stick out, and then you want to fill them in nicely and they're sticking out, this will soften them, it will prime them, it will prep them, and they will fall nice and flat. So if you want to fill in your brows. Okay, so right now we've conditioned them, we've prepped them, and we can see that lift. Can you see it in the camera? Can everybody see the lashes, how they're shooting straight up? If people can give me a little bit of a feedback. So I
gorgeous, great.
Perfect. So she's just emotional.
Yeah.
Don't cry. Okay, so you can see the effect of the lift, how the lashes are shooting more straight up. If they were a curl, I'm going to bring out a roller to show you. So this is perfect. So you can use the mascara after applying the styling gel, but just wait 2 to 3 hours for the mascara. Okay, so these are the rollers. Okay, so they're cotton rollers. Now, because they're round, their circumference, the hair wraps halfway on this roller to the half of the circumference of this roller, and then that's the lashes round in. Okay, so this one here with the lift, when she opens up, she has length, so it makes it look like she has extensions on. So this is perfect for people who have been doing lash extensions, want to give a break to the lash extensions because the glues can be a little bit harsh down the road if you're doing them often. You give a break to your extensions and you do the lash lift instead and tint afterwards so that you have that dramatic effect. So how did everybody, I have a question for everybody there too. Some people that are maybe on this webinar might be people who have used it already, maybe had a little bit of difficulty, because I know I met a couple of you at the trade shows and I did suggest please watch this webinar just to see how I did it, to see if there was anything that you missed, any steps that you missed. Was this helpful, this webinar? Do you feel confident going back to be able to achieve this look with your client? Very helpful. Okay, I'm glad to hear it was very helpful because I want everyone to be able to enjoy using the lash lift like I do. Like the rest of RefectoCil users, they love to use it. So I don't want you to have any issues, and I want it to accommodate to all your clients. If down the road you do have any issues, we'll write down my website. My email. And you can send me any questions you have, any concerns you have, and I can try and assist you if you're still having any problems. But I'm glad that this was helpful for you to see it, how it was done. Now, what we can potentially do if we want, we can lift our model, and if you want to see, would we be able to show it from the side?
We can try.
We can try. It might get a little blurry, so turn away from the screen so you don't get dizzy. But we want to show you also from the side view if you want to see when she gets up, and I'm sure our model wants to get up. Yeah, you can do that too. Yeah. Yep. And you can put the camera on the side so they can see the effect. So I'm gonna move this a little bit back. Does it get darker? Should I lift it up? No, it's okay. Okay. So you might have to go closer. So that's from the side to see the side view. I know that maybe I should put the light a little bit up. Okay. And then do we want to go closer in the front view, or do we want to go a little bit closer? So you can see how they're shooting upwards. So the tips haven't rounded off completely. With a curl, the tips of the lashes will round inwards. Okay. So everybody feels the look was good? Like it turned out okay, awesome. So I will take into consideration the suggestions for a more updated bleaching and brow bleaching and brow tinting, and also register in November as well when we do get the link up for our curl webinar, so that you can see the difference too and see how it's applied, because there's slight differences with the curl on where the solution is placed. And then you can see, I always suggest carry both if you can into your service, because you can accommodate everybody. You can accommodate the male clientele, the short lashes, the longer lashes, and as well the lift. You can give that beautiful look of having extensions on. So are there any other last questions that you want to ask before we go? Oh, hola from Mexico. Hi, Bianca. Maybe Bianca. Hi, Bianca. I'm glad you can make it. Yeah, so I'm happy that this webinar has assisted, because that's what our aim was, because I know the majority of the issues was the glue, learning how to work with the glue. So I always tell people you have to become one with the glue, because at the beginning I had issues with the glue as well, but as I learned to work with it and it started to work with me with practice, as you saw, I went back with the glue put on, I played with it, I was very comfortable with the glue. And that's the aim for you as well, to be comfortable with the glue and learn to troubleshoot along the way if something happens during your service. Her lashes popped off during the live webinar, so I had to go back in and fix it with the glue. And you can see how everything worked quickly. There wasn't a big delay. Right? So, and when you get comfortable too, when you get faster at this, your service can be only 35 minutes, right? Yeah. So I'm very happy that everybody who was in attendance, thank you so much. I appreciate the feedback. Please follow us as well on RefectoCil North America, on our Instagram account, on our Facebook account. And we'd love to hear, send us pictures, send us your results. I would love to see that. And this webinar was also live on Facebook, so you can actually go on Facebook and watch it again if you feel you want to see it. But as well, it's going to go onto our website in a couple of days, onto our RefectoCilEducation.com. That is a very good website to go to keep yourself updated with the different types of services that RefectoCil has to offer.
Is your hashtag RefectoCil North America?
North America, yeah. Hashtag RefectoCil North America. Yep. Or do we still do?
As well.
Oh, tag us as well. Yes.
And we'll share.
And then we will share. Yeah. If you do befores and after, we can share them as well on our Instagram page. Yeah. Awesome. So thank you. I appreciate it. Until the next webinar, I hope to see you all. And if I see you at trade shows, come say hi to me. And amazing. Thank you so much for your time today, and have a wonderful day. Thank you.